think I'm about 70 videos in at this point on this quest I guess I'm on to make a video a day for a year. And what's interesting about it is I don't really share these videos at this point. Today is June 10th, 2020. And I haven't really shared these beyond my brother and some other family members a little bit, but beyond that, they're not really shared. And you know, I will use these videos to gather my own thoughts, to collect my own thoughts, definitely to have conversations and kind of progress thinking with my brother who I share them with, but not much beyond that. And I've said it often to myself that one of the things I think I need to start doing soon is to push this outward. Not for the reason I probably would have thought of 70 videos ago, which I think I've mentioned in another video, that I felt like, you know, I have something so valuable, I have something so insightful and profound that I need to share with the world to make it a better place, because I have a unique perspective. It's less about that. It's more about testing this. It's more about seeing it in a real life setting, right? Imagine you spend your whole life, I've talked before that I'm a big fan of jiu-jitsu. Imagine if I spent years just alone at home watching videos of jiu-jitsu, doing, you know, the techniques and trying to learn them, and then for the first time ever, you know, go to a jiu-jitsu tournament and try and compete. I would probably be destroyed, right? The way you learn things is by doing them. There's tons of value in sitting back, thinking, reflecting, you know, this type of thing, learning at home. But you need the real life experience to see if it actually works, to see if it's any good, frankly. Not to mention, I think you want to see and grow more, right? And you do that through the interactions. This is a starting point. This is my internal dialogue. This is how, you know, I think and how I'm working my way through things. But you need those external inputs, and you can get some of them from articles and things like that. But I think there's value in going external. So I say all that because I've tried to make a concerted shift of late to do more, to start to do more. And there was one instance that happened recently, which ended up being, I think, really positive. I just wanted to share a little bit of it as a validation point for me, again, around the point of, if done the right way and not trying to just school somebody or you know, show my intellect or intelligence, you can make a difference. And the instance is, there's somebody that I went to high school with, who I haven't spoken to in probably literally 20 years. But we're friends on Facebook. You kind of know how that goes. You just friend people. And with the whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's been going on, she has been super vocal about that on Facebook. And the reason it caught my attention was prior to this, she appeared to be, and again, I hadn't spoken to her, so I don't know. I just know from her social media posts, of which she was active, a very spiritual, very kind of loving, peaceful person who seemed to be out to try and make the world a better place, very empathetic, trying to understand people and improve their lives as best she could. There was a lot of good that I saw. When the George Floyd situation happened and a lot of this started to happen, I noticed pretty quickly that her posts became much more aggressive, which is okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And she's very much in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Obviously something she was very passionate about. But I noticed it continually progressed to the point where she had a few arguments with people on Facebook who were challenging her thoughts or her views, some in a poor way, right? Some in an offensive way, some in a more genuine way. And the rhetoric I started to see started to kind of ratchet up to the point where, and I was watching that and kind of, there was some gut reactions of me to jump in and try and get in the conversation and maybe try and point out some things to her that I thought she was doing wrong. But I fought that instinct because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to understand more, learn more, right? Not just go with my gut visceral reaction, my emotional reaction. Within the last week or so, she started making some posts that really got me intrigued though, right? She started sharing some things that said, more or less, if you don't agree with what I say, don't say anything to me. Right? If I make a post and you're not in agreement with my side, I don't want you commenting. You might as well just unfriend me. I don't want to hear it. And she made a few posts along those lines, and some people questioned it of, what are you doing? Like, what's, you just think you know the answers or whatever. And it got kind of it devolved very quickly into more of an argument. And it on a principle level, I could say it triggered me just from a principle logical level, right? The idea of shutting down somebody else's views if they don't just agree with you seems silly, right? Particularly from where I come from a mindset of more information, the better, understand the other perspectives. You're trying to get to the truth. So you never shut down another view. But also, like I said, just the contrast from what she appeared to be to what she became, it seemed like not the best of situations. So a couple times I actually started writing up responses to her posts, not aggressively, not trying to be argumentative, but just to get into that with her a little bit. But I stopped myself, and one of the things that I think was a good move right off the bat was, hey, don't make this kind of like a performance piece. Don't make it public. If I want to talk to her about it, do it the right way. Do it through a learning conversation. Do it privately so it seems genuine. And as I've said in other videos, it's a long game. It takes time. You can't just say, hey, I think you're doing this wrong, and expect her to see that and know that. Because A, I don't know that she's doing it wrong. I need to understand it better first. Who am I to say? But B, you need to build some credibility. You need to understand the situation better first. So, long story short, I reached out to her as a private message and just kind of let her know the way I've been thinking lately, and that I'm trying to understand different perspectives. And I noticed some of her posts and that she was certainly very passionate about this. So I wanted to hear more about it and kind of the approach she's taking. Particularly, given that she's taking this strong kind of aggressive approach, I wanted to understand, does she think it's working? What was the mindset of taking that approach? Help me understand how you got there in very much in a learning conversation type way. And honestly, her first reaction was skepticism. She thought I was trying to trap her into some sort of argument, which was fair. And I told her that. I said, that's fair. I understand you thinking that. I'd probably think the same. And I let her know that probably 5 years ago, I might have done something like that. I might have tried to engage in an argument. But, I really did just want to have a dialogue and learn. So we went back and forth quite a bit, and I kind of shared some of my thoughts genuinely and openly of how I think, how I'm trying to, look at perspective versus truth, just like in the beginning of all the videos, and really just trying to learn and understand other people's perspectives and not jump to any conclusions, not have certainty on things that I don't know enough about yet, and challenge myself more, challenge my thoughts. So we went back and forth on that a little bit, and she most recently sent me a message and said, hey, I'm really grateful that you reached out. This has been a great conversation. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I think it was what I needed because I recognize through the way you're talking and the way you're illustrating how you're trying to think and how you're trying to approach this, that I was being very closed-minded and that I was taking this aggressive approach of forcing people and shaming them into change. And that's not who I am. That's not what I want to be. But I got so caught up in it and I felt so sure that I was right in what I was doing that I lost my way a little bit. And I lost that ability to understand the different perspectives, even if I don't agree with them, even if I violently, figuratively violently disagree with them, I still need to hear them. And I say that not in any way to pat myself on the back because I don't think it has anything to do with me. It's the approach. It's the Socratic, the truly Socratic. It's the learning approach, and it's being the change you want to see. Right? It's some of the things I've talked about in these other videos. It's not just schooling somebody. It's not just telling somebody. It's not just assuming I know better than you and you're doing this wrong. It's genuinely going to somebody and saying, hey, I see you're doing it different than I would have thought. Tell me about it. Let me hear it, right? I'd love to hear it. And let me tell you how I think, right? And how I'm approaching it and where I think my flaws are. And through that, and it took a little time, a little bit of a conversation. It seemed to prove out. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out for her on social media and all that. But I took a lot of solace in that I think it was a bit of a proof point, just one, right? Long way to go. But a bit of a proof point that there's something certainly to this. And if you can commit to it and do it the right way, even somebody in this case who was at a point where they were super aggressive and super certain in what their approach and how they were going about it, there's an opportunity to change that. Now, TBD if that plays out and it can scale and all those things. But I think to me, the big takeaway is, hey, keep pushing it externally, test this more, work with more people, learn more. Figure out more how you can scale this and drive it because there's benefit to be had.